There have been plenty of calls in recent days for Mako member for safety JP Smith, as well as Mako member for Xanthea Limberg, to be removed from official duties until they are completely cleared of any wrongdoing. This is after their respective officers were raided by hawks as part of what's believed to be a probe into housing fraud and corruption in the city. Already we have seen the arrest, and is currently on trial. Malusi Boy is the former MMC for human settlements in the city of Cape Town. But yesterday the mayor saying that Xanthea Limberg, JP Smith, are not going anywhere. He finds no reason to put them on under any form of suspension. The mayor joins me now. Good morning, Mayor. I really appreciate
Good morning,
your
Mr.
time. What is your response? You've now met with General Patekele, the head of police in the Western Cape.
Yes.
You find no reason to put JP Smith and Xanthea Limberg on any form of cautionary suspension?
Yes, I really appreciate their willingness to brief me. As I've said publicly many times, I'm not entitled to such a briefing, and I know that, but they did offer it to me as a courtesy previously in March of 23 when they did the search warrant on the offices of Malusi Boy. And so I asked for it again, and I received it yesterday. And the fact is that there's just a very marked difference between the two. In the first case, I was taken through a series of really very shocking evidence that I had obviously seen for the first time, and which had been corroborated already by the SAPS, things like various payments and transactions and so on. And in this case, that kind of corroborating evidence is just absent, or I must say, the SAPS is either unwilling or unable to share it with me. They did not do so. They did not share any such corroborating evidence with me. So in the circumstances, there is just a marked difference, and there's just no basis for me to act.
You say there's no evidence of any wrongdoing, but a raid is an inference that there may be something untoward. Your political party has on previous occasions had said that if there is an inference of a political principle involved in wrongdoing, they should step aside and be investigated, like for the example of Minister Ntshavheni in the presidency. Do you believe there may not be any evidence at the moment, but if there is an inference of wrongdoing, that should be enough to ask the Mako members to step aside just for the time being?
I understand the argument, but I don't agree that any allegation or even inference, even here there's not even an allegation, just as you say, the inference is enough. Otherwise, there would be no people in executive office anywhere, because it would be the easiest thing to do to destroy or remove your political opponent by simply making the inference of wrongdoing. So there has to be some kind of substantive evidence or indication of substantial information behind that inference. It cannot just be the inference itself.
What's the difference between this case and a previous case, for example, involving Zahid Badruddin, the Mako member for water, Zahid Badruddin, where there was an inference on alleged electricity tampering in a property that he owned. He stepped aside while an investigation was underway, and when the investigation said there's no credible evidence here, he then went on to continue his job as a Mako member.
Well, hang on. There is a marked difference again, because in that case, it was absolutely clear to me, incontrovertible, inarguable, that there had been electricity tampering at that house, which is obviously unacceptable. There's no way that we can have the essentially electricity theft in any City of Cape Town employee's property. It was also immediately clear to me up front that he had not been living in the house, so it wasn't him personally had done it, but he was the owner, and the law says that the owner is responsible, and so he had to undergo a full investigation there, and he had to properly clear his name, and fortunately his name was fully and properly cleared, and that's going to be very positive for him in the future, because that baggage doesn't hang around now. But the fact is, it's not that there was just an inference there. It was absolutely incontrovertible. The city's energy department had done an investigation, and the evidence was clear. It was just about assigning responsibility, and that's why that investigation was necessary.
Geordin, this particular case, this last few days, there have been strong political undertones. One being from J.P. Smith in his statement saying that he believes that he's been reliably informed that senior ANC politicians have been briefed. There have been cases laid by the National Coloured Congress against the DA's federal chair, Helen Zille, about what she knew about a case. We have opposition parties in the Western Cape Provincial Legislature, the ANC, EFF, Freedom Front Plus, and Good. They now want a meeting with the South African Police Service, claiming that members of the DA and even J.P. Smith knew long before there was going to be a raid. He had been tipped off. It seems there is lots of political undertones of tip-offs to either sides of this particular argument from members of the South African Police Service.
That is something that I addressed very strongly with the SAPS delegation yesterday. I mean, the investigation, the team, however they've put it together, is leaking like a sieve. It's leaking like an old rusty boat. The fact is that word of this has been known for months from the NCC, Fadil Adams, and I handed over to them a pack of literally hundreds of social media posts from him over the last, dating back, I would think probably to even September last year, where he says exactly what's going on inside the SAPS. So they've got to investigate that. They say that they've removed one officer from their team already, and hopefully they've pledged to investigate that. But look, let me just say, Lester, I don't go in for all the conspiracy theories. I actually happen to think SAPS is mainly made up of professionals who are trying to do the right thing and who are trying to, root out crime. Obviously, there are some bad actors and there are some people leaking and people who are behaving unprofessionally. But frankly, in any large organization, that is the case. And so I'm not going to get involved in criticizing or attacking SAPS. All I'm saying is I have to go on the facts and the information before me. And on the facts and the information before me, there is simply no justification for any further action.
Mr. Mayor, just final question. Just on your MACO board, your executive. Last week we also had a MACO reshuffle. The previous MACO member for Health and Community Services, Patricia van der Ross, being removed, replaced by Francina Hyam as Health and Community Service MMC. You gave no reasons. What is the reason for your reshuffle?
Well, I have noted that there is some turnaround in the performance of community services and health, and I'm very grateful for that. But it is a directorate that I think needs a significant turnaround in the city, and Fran is a real systems thinker and someone who I think is going to rebuild basic systems from the ground up so that department performs much, much better. And so I thought it was time for a new energy in that department to focus on those systems and focus on getting a quicker turnaround there. And so I made the change.
Mayor Geordin Hill-Lewis, really appreciate your time.